The world's greatest geologist is on the verge of his next billion-dollar discovery. With looming shortages in copper, zinc, gold, and silver, this may be the best opportunity hard asset investors have ever faced. Learn more at futuremoneytrends.com/hardassets.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome into crushthestreet.com. My name is Kenneth Amaduri, and I'm here with Aaron, affectionately known as Cappy Cap on his YouTube channel. And he's known for the harsh and direct reality when delivering conservative-style opinions. And he definitely has an opinion, and I think you're going to enjoy the conversation we're going to have. He consults with people on an individual basis on investing and lifestyle at assholeconsulting.com. And definitely check him out on his YouTube channel. Aaron, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, Aaron, hey, let's get started off with one of the videos you did. It was titled Never Live in Liberal Towns. And I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on that. And basically, what were some of the most important things about that video that you'd like to share with our audience today?
Well, a couple. One of them is you can endure federal policy, statewide policy, but when it comes to where you actually live, then you have to actually endure the people you live with. And so, and this doesn't mean that you can't have liberal friends or you can't have fun, but back when I lived in Minneapolis proper, my tires would get slashed because I was the one person that had Republican bumper stickers. The parties you're invited to, you're the crypto fascist and you're for murdering all the little innocent brown people overseas, and so stuff like that. And after a while, you're like, well, this is not part of the community I want to be. So there's that social side, but then also there's the policy side. I mean, federal government, yeah, you got to pay your taxes. But, for example, in Colorado, you can't have fireplaces or wood-burning stoves anymore. All these rules and regulations that they kind of vote on, they really directly affect you. And so then your life and the freedom you have is more infringed at the local level than it typically is at the federal or state. And so it's what I liken it or have it akin to is it's like it really is no different than living in a homeowners association. The city you live in is like your HOA. What type of people do you want in your condoplex? Do you want people who work, pay taxes? They're not lecturing. They're not self-inflicting all these tyrannical leftist authoritarian type rules on you. And property taxes alone, that's another huge one. Or do you want one where it's like, hey, good fences make good neighbors. We're all here to work hard. You live your life. I'll live mine. Live and let live, that kind of thing. And by the way, we're not going to enslave ourselves to the local school district by paying, say $14,000 per pupil per year and driving up your property taxes. So that was the kind of the theme of that video.
In LA, they just voted to raise the minimum wage to $15 by 2020, and that's pretty substantial because I'm not 100% sure where it is now, but I know last I heard it was around 8, and I know moving above that. But where do you think liberals just go wrong with economic issues, and is there anything we could do to stop this?
It starts with their heart. I'd say most of them, it starts with their heart. They're very well intended, but they're lazy in their thinking. They just do not sit down and ask the question, all right, have these policies we've been endorsing for 50 years work? It's very logical. It's very loving. You could say, I want to help the children, so let's more money for more kids. Well, you look that we've spent, what is it? I think 3 or 4 times the amount per pupil adjusted for inflation since 1960. And the grades have not gone up 3 or 4 times. But boy, by golly, we have 3 or 4 times more administrative and support staff than we normally do. And then that's where it goes from love to a religion or self-servitude. And the leftists, they have nothing else going on in their life. They really don't work hard at anything. This isn't to say there aren't engineer liberals out there. But typically, it's you look at what they pursue in terms of career or life goals, and it's not impressive at all. So they run behind it, and they start to defend it as they get older as kind of the liberal, their religion and their purpose in life. So if you go to Oh, perfect example. This is even on the younger side. Someone who decides I'm going vegan or I'm a vegetarian. We all know these kids back in our day when we were in high school. It's like, no, you're a nerd who's not on the football team, and unfortunately the nerds actually study hard and get good grades. You're just a loser who decided to declare yourself a vegetarian so that you'd have some kind of agency or purpose in your otherwise meaningless, worthless life. And you're really just a moron. You're a hypocrite. You really don't care about the animals. This is all for your ego and crusaderism. So that's where it starts to become a little bit self-serving and not as noble and kind of more ulterior motive-y for the left.
You know, it's funny you say that, because I've really thought that before, and I've explored that concept of having to be educated, you know, and I like the way you put it, lazy in your thinking. Now, the pundits out there would look at President Obama and say, okay, gas prices are down now, unemployment is cut in half, he's quote unquote ended some wars, and the stock market is up 150%. Now, again, I wouldn't attribute this to him, but the problem is the liberal left is able to paint this picture and then act like they're the loving ones. They're the ones that care about women. They're the ones that care about the poor, and the rich are the Republicans who care about the failed policies of the past. And the problem that I have is that they really do have a great pitch for people who are uneducated. They have a really convincing argument with the way they spin things. And I don't know, and I think we'll talk about this a little later, but Donald Trump, he comes out there and he tries to be very direct. And he talks about what Mexico's doing, and he gets in there and he's so direct, but maybe he's right on the things that he's saying, but it definitely isn't coming out as palatable as the way the left is able to spin their agenda. Any thoughts on this?
Well, it's do you want a lying saint or a truthful sinner? And Americans today, they want the lying saint. They want pretty lies. They don't want harsh truth. And the irony is, of course, there is no such thing as harsh truth or tough fatherly love. There's only the truth. And the most compassionate, wonderful thing is truth, not lies. No matter how well crafted and Oprah-y and sugar-coated you put it on there, it's still a lie. It's still going to hurt you in the long run. And the left is masters at that. You could the various successes of Barack Obama you pointed out before. That's just standard politics. He had nothing to do with those things. But the left and any politician, even on the right, they're going to claim all this. Look, the stock market went up. It's like the stock market has nothing to do with fiscal policy or monetary policy, but that's a different, boring economic debate. But the larger part is the Democrats have no morality. Not that the Republicans are these saints either. But their game plan is to tell people what they want to hear so that they vote you and bribe them with the money. So this is where it jumps from, for example, like you see the difference between a good, well-intended, loving liberal and just a Machiavellian charlatan. I got a friend, my buddy Mr. Lee, he's a Democrat, but this guy is honest and true. Contrast that with Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton darn well knows what she's doing. She doesn't care that the stock market doesn't have anything to do with policy. She doesn't care about the Americans. She just wants to be elected. And so she's going to tell everybody she's more than happy, guarantee you, when she runs or if she gets elected, she is going to be more than happy to drive a wedge between the men and women of America, make it sound like men are sexist pigs and there's a war on women. Who cares how many families that destroys? Who cares how many potential lifelong happy marriages and children that would come from that? Who cares what kind of stability that would ruin? Hillary Clinton, in her mind, at least got elected. And so that's the game plan of these vermin, basically, is lie to the American people, tell them we're going to give you more money. And the other key thing is saying that your position in life is not your fault. And typically, the scapegoat is either corporations, evil white men, white people, patriarchy. Some go crazy with the Illuminati if they want to get conspiratorial. But that's the game plan. Lie to people, tell them it's not their own fault, give them money, and forget the consequences. I'll be dead, but at least I got to live a luxurious life on the government dime.
Well, so do you think it's just a fault with democracy where the 51% get to tell the 49% what to do, and it's a disregard for the Constitution in the republic that we were supposed to have, where the Supreme Court, they look at the laws and they say, hey, this is infringing on the rights of these people. You raising taxes on these people is infringing on their rights. That can't happen. You can't just vote something that's going to take the rights away from someone else. And is it just a problem with the fundamentals of the way things happen? Because if we did have a true free country that our laws and our Constitution was truly respected, I don't think we could vote in things that would piss me off, because it wouldn't be imposing on my own life. And I know we're a long way from an idealistic society like that, but what are your thoughts on that? Do you feel like we've gotten so far away from where it just can't be fixed and the majority rules and votes themselves entitlements to the point where the whole thing implodes?
Yeah, it's pretty much there. The only thing saving us right now is the fact that we have the world's reserve currency, and any other country that has a shot at maybe providing an alternative world reserve currency is infinitely more corrupt, and now China seems to be more indebted. But yeah, it does get to your point, the difference between a democracy and a republic. We have a democracy now. We do not have a republic. I know the literalists, oh no, it's a republic. No, we are a democracy, and the reason I say that is that we've given a ton of people who don't deserve the right to vote, the right to vote. And I'm not talking minorities or women, but one thing that really kind of was the beginning of the end is no longer requiring that you own property to vote. And that was a very good requirement in order to vote, a very good hurdle, because it meant you owned an actual piece of the country. You weren't some idiot schlep who just kind of, I mean, you certainly could inherit your property, but typically if you own property, you're a more responsible citizen. You manage your personal finances to a point that you could own property. And that was a very good litmus test or requirement or a skills test to have before you had the right to vote. Wasn't perfect. I'd have some different measures in place, but that was the one thing where it's like, well, why did we get rid of that? Now, it's free and open to everybody. Even here in Minnesota, you can't check for ID to vote. And when that law passed, I'm like, forget it, it's over, it's done. So yeah, it's done. That's it's why I wrote one of my books called Enjoy the Decline, because it is over, in my opinion. It'll be a slow death, but it's over. We're not going back to the 1940s or the 1950s anytime soon.
Yeah, no, I've thought about that whole property thing, and I guess my idealistic way would be if you actually paid taxes. It means that you are working for your money and you are paying something, so then therefore it costs you something when you vote for a specific measure or test or a policy that's coming around. So anyways, what do you see coming for the 2016 election? I want to get your thoughts on this.
Oh, mercy. That's going to be harder to predict than the stock market. It's just a smorgasbord. The Republicans are going to have to weed it out, so that's gonna take a while. I would like to see Trump win. I'd like to see, because the guy is not a politician, and I know there's Rand Paul and people like Cruz and stuff, but I would still like to see the Don win, not because of his celebrityship, but because he's blunt, honest, and truthful. You may disagree with him, but you'll find him there. And then the Democrat, I think it's going to be a repeat of the nomination of 2008. I think Hillary is going to be, the presumed entitled heiress, suburbanite princess to the nomination. I think Bernie Sanders is going to steal from her. I do believe Bernie Sanders is going to win it. And I think Bernie Sanders has got a pretty good shot at winning the presidential election as well, especially if the Republicans pick some connected, milky toast, party stalwart or some connected nepotist in that party. If they don't get someone who stands for something and has an element of not even charisma, not even movie star power, but just, like Barack Obama was a definite difference between the regular establishment Hillary Clinton Democrats. And if they take, it's going to be, in other words, it's going to be establishment. If the Republicans run an establishment Republican against Bernie Sanders, they're going to lose. And I think the Democrats are going to say, hey, look, we did pretty good with Obama. He wasn't establishment. Let's go with Bernie Sanders, because even though he's been in office forever, he is speaking his mind. Him and Ralph Nader. It's not. They don't give fuzzy, blurry speeches. Exactly where they stand. I think there's enough young people. I think there's enough minorities. I think there's enough illegal and legal immigrants here that still believe that crap. They'll vote for him. I think he will get the nomination. So that's kind of my 2016 analysis.